Hi, friends, and welcome back in. Thanks for joining today. And I hope everybody had a beautiful, blessed, amazing, Merry Christmas with you and your families. Um, I am so into this tuxedo look right now, and I'm running out of black tie style jewelry in my store. So I've got to start adding some inventory, friends. And I thought I'd take you along the journey. I'm into making a lariat today. This is going to match the earrings we just made, and not only the chevron slash herringbone wire wrapped memory wire we did a couple of weeks ago, or about a week ago. That goes in theme here. Also, I made a really pretty another type of a bracelet, and I'm going to put all of this in my store. This is so New Year's-y, so sparkly. When you got to get your sparkle on any black tie event, I just thought, gosh, you know what? I haven't done just a straight black and white piece in so long, so that's my vibe today. That's what I'm doing. And so we're going to do a lariat, friends, and we just did one, but we did a lasso. Today we're going to do a Y-style lariat. Very similar. We're just going to finish off the bottom a little bit different. I'm going to share a couple of tips with you guys as we go along here and let you know what I'm working with. And hopefully this inspires you. So I have done 32 inches of beading, and I have opted to use the 19 strand wire today, and it is in silver, so it's way more flexible. Okay. This is a little bit lighter of a piece, and it's also going to be a Y style. So I did opt to use the 19 strand. I'm also using an eye pin, so we're going to make a Y in a much easier way with our tassel and all of our drama at the bottom. Instead of using wire and doing all of that today, I'm going to make it easy, and we're going to use an eye pin. And we're going to use these beautiful fancy bead caps that I have, these gorgeous large 10 millimeter bicones in jet black. And then we are using the curb chain I have. I've cut 8 pieces. I've cut these 5 pieces are 3 inches, and these 3 pieces are 2 inches. So we'll do a little bit of a cascading effect. We're going to use the French wire or the bullion wire, right? And I showed you guys that last week in that other lariat. We just did a tutorial on that. So this is just a beautiful finish for something like this. And then I have my small circular connector. It's completely closed, and it's nice and balanced with the size of my necklace, so it's not really overpowering. But this ought to be beautiful centerpiece for our dramatic focal drop tassel we're going to get ready to do. All the beads, and that I just did a really traditional pattern throughout, but it's just really beautiful. And there's my beads up close. It's just really a darling tuxedo look, just absolutely classic and darling. Can't go wrong with this. Very, very simple. So in order to finish off this particular Y style, I'm going to show you guys with the French wire. And then we'll use the magical crimper with the 2x2 crimp tubes, and then we'll go over to the tassel, and this will take us just a jiffy. Right on my wire, our French wire, or in other words, our French bullion wire. Okay, and so there's that right there, and let that drop right on down. And then I am going to grab my connector. Okay, so now I'm going to put my wire right through the center of my connector and attach it right on there. So now I'm going to go around, so I'm making a loop around my connector here. I'm going to skip over, and see my crimp is already trying to get caught up in my French wire there. And now it's getting lost in my beads. This happens. Okay, without me distorting it, let me see if I can get that back where he needs to be. Oh my heavens. Okay, let me grab my wire. Let me pull that off. Let me get that back where it needs to be. As you saw, maybe if you guys caught my tutorial, we just did the tutorial on this French wire. It is very delicate. You do need to be delicate when working with it, because you can unravel it very easily. And it gives a beautiful pro finish, but it is obviously much more delicate than a wire guardian. Okay, back in the saddle. Okay, so I'm going to put my connector on. I am going to go around my connector, and I'm going to pass over my French wire as if it's not there. And I'm going to put my tail right through my crimp. Okay? And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm holding my crimp tube here and I'm pulling this up. Okay? And now I'm going to show you what's going to happen here. Okay? Within that loop, we will go ahead and let me switch hands so you can see what I'm doing. Is I'm going to go ahead and pull the longer wire that is my short tails right here, and notice how that French wire just is going to come together and both edges of it are going to touch my crimp right there, just like that. Okay, and acts just like a wire guardian, so it protects your wire, but it's a really beautiful finish, right? And we'll just crimp that off like we normally would, and I'm using the magical crimper as I said today. Okay, so I gave that a squoze, and then we'll go ahead and finish this up and make that look like a crimp. Instead of a crimp tube, make that look like a bead that is going to disappear into part of our design. Nobody will ever know it's a crown. It's literally why I love this magical crimper, especially when you're really wanting to go for a really, pro finish, and you don't want to have any crimp because your design, might get distorted because you've got some sort of a crimp or something and you don't have a crimp cover. Either way, it's just all good. And look how beautiful that is, right? Very, very pretty at the bottom there, okay? And so now I'm going to take that tail, because I'm using 19 strand and it's very flexible wire. I'm going to go ahead and just push that tail right on through. Not even going to bother to trim it, and push my beads right on up. I'm going to grab the tail on the other side and I'm going to push everything down now. And then again, I'm going to coil this up like a snake and pull all of the sections of gaps of my wire out. There we go. And we're going to do the same thing. And I have too much wire, so I'm going to cut a little bit. Working with a little too much there. Okay. And we'll just same thing, guys. I'm going to repeat that on the other side. Throw on my crimp. I will fish my French wire off my mat onto my wire. Okay. I am going to let my crimp drop, but I'm going to put my finger there this time. There we go. So I'm going to hold my French wire in place this time so I don't get that lost. And same thing. Now I'm going to go over to the side and I'm going to put my loop, my wire through my loop here. Okay. And then pull my wire up and over around my French wire here and put that tail through the crimp and first couple of beads. Nice flexible wire today, so I'll give it a little extra security by putting a few beads through my tail. Then we'll go ahead and we're going to pull that tail and let everything come together. You have to just be really patient and don't rush it when you're working with the French wire. There we go. Okay. And let me lay this back out, make sure everything looks good before I crimp it off. I think we're good. Okay, and we'll go ahead and crimp that off. Very good. Nice and cozy, comfy there. We'll flush cut that out. And there we go. So now we have our French wire right there on our connector. So that's the first part done. That's all cozy and done and snug as a bug. And similarly, to many of my other tassels I've showed you guys, I'm going to keep you up for a second. I'm going to do the easy, super easy way today, which is I am using an eye pin. Super easy, guys. You can cut your chain any length you want, okay? And we need to work from the bottom up now because I am actually going to wire wrap this to my connector. So we need to work from the bottom up. So I've got to feed my chain on first, and I've already opened up my eye pin. I just have a standard eye pin. It's stainless steel. Okay, and so I did cut two different lengths. And so what I'm going to do here is feed my chain on the loop and let all my chain fall right in this loop here. And I do have two different lengths, so I'm doing a bit of a cascading. So that's why I'm kind of going back and forth to my two little piles here. Okay, all my chains in my loop of my eye pin. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and I am going to put one of my fancy bead caps down, and it will hide all of that part of the eye pin. And then I am going to grab a bicone and then another bead cap. And then a bicone and another bead cap, which I don't see. And there we go. Okay, and that's what I now have for my fancy tassel. So pretty. Just absolutely stunning. Okay, and I'll just do simple wire wrap loop. Now this is stainless steel, so it's going to be a bit of a challenge, but I'm going to give it a shot. That's all we can do. So I put my right bend in there. I am going to grab my 6-step because I really want to have a perfect loop here, but I'm going to use the smallest of my loops there. And I'm going to put that right in the bend, and I'm going to pull this up and around, again, because they're stainless steel eye pins, so they're a little bit tougher to wire wrap. And push that back and make sure my loop is centered. I think that's okay. I am going to pop that loop open. I am going to add this connector and get that pushed right down in that loop. I have to open it a little more, I will. And we'll wire wrap this right to that. Okay, so we've got that right in the loop. And then we'll close that loop and grab a hold of that. Just do regular wire wrap here, guys. And we'll be all done. Let me grab some pliers. And I'll try to do some perfectly clean wraps. We'll see how I do. Perfect. There we go. That couldn't be any better than that. I don't want to disturb that bead cap, is so delicate. But I do want that to be a little tighter. There we go. All right, now let's try to get that trimmed as tight as I can there. I'll pull you up. And let's see. Now we'll work on tucking that in. I'm actually using the crimping portion. Another little cool tip when you're working with like stainless steel or trying to tuck in your burrs perfectly. It actually does help. Cool. I think it's a lot better. Okay, and there we go, guys. And that's what we have. And we are all done. Let me pull you up. It's so hard to get a full like lariat in the camera. There we go. So there's my Y-Lariat, my friends. I hope you guys enjoyed. Look how beautiful this is. Isn't this insane? I love, love, love. This is going right up in my store. So beautiful. Just a classic black and white, but what a darling finish that is. I love the cascading chain. I think that's so pretty, but it's not too much that it's not in balance with the necklace. I think just a little bit of the drama here gives it a little bit of edge, but I really think this turned out super, super pretty. I'm so glad to have shared this with you guys, and I hope you guys are inspired. And I love the French wire. I just think it looks so pretty. And, you know, when you're wearing it, you know, this has plenty of movement. So we made our loops perfect size there. Just turned out so well. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for joining me today. And we'll see you in the next one, friends. Be blessed.